Psychic Development, Psychometry, Numerology, and Psychic Dreams Clarified, written by Stephanie White, narrated by Kip Ferguson. Chapter 5. Psychic Dreams. Psychics have dreams, just like everyone else. However, dreams reveal much deeper meaning for psychics than for other people. Psychics have far fewer ordinary dreams than normal because their minds run on a higher, more intuitive level. Learning to understand your dreams can make a world of a difference in your everyday life. This is why it is important to analyze and think about your dreams in order to understand what they are trying to tell you. Here are the 7 secrets of psychic dreams. Premonition or precognition. Psychics often have episodes of premonition or precognition in their dreams. This is when they dream something before it occurs in real life. Usually these dreams are especially vivid, which is how the psychic can realize that this is a precognitive dream. Psychomancy. Psychics can also have psychomantic dreams, in which they dream about the past of a person, place, animal, or object. In psychomantic dreams, the person experiencing the dream will see, feel, or understand the most critical moments that have occurred in the life of that person, place, animal, or object. Symbolism. The dreams that psychics have are not always straightforward. Sometimes, instead of experiencing a precognitive dream or a psychomantic vision, they will see an accumulation of symbols or symbolic images that reveal something of greater significance. Astral travel or astral projection. Psychics are able to astral travel in their dreams. When practicing astral travel, a psychic leaves his or her body and travels through what are called astral planes. They may travel wherever they wish, whether it be to another place or to another time. Spirit guides. While dreaming, psychics are able to connect to their spirit guides from the other realm. We all have these spirit guides, whether we are aware of them or not. But psychics are able to receive communication from them while dreaming. Spirit guides are able to advise us and help us see clearly in times of trouble or confusion. Loved ones. Those who have left the physical world may make themselves known to us while we dream. Sometimes we have to listen carefully to realize that the spirit communicating with us is in fact a loved one trying to establish a connection. It is important that psychics be open to these kind of communications, as they can sometimes be unexpected and spontaneous. Dream journals. Keeping a journal of one's dreams might seem like a tedious task for psychics to undertake, but the work is well worth the rewards. Dream journals allow psychics to identify patterns and coincidences throughout their dreams, such as recurring themes or significant symbols. These kinds of connections often don't become apparent until they are written down and journaled, or they become forgotten and lost completely. Discovering hidden meaning and unobvious patterns is why it is crucial that psychics document as much of their dreams as possible. Chapter 4. Signs of your psychic ability. When we experience a coincidence, we can't help but feel some spiritual forces at work, especially organizing events in such a way as to grab our attention. Coincidences are clever. Their improbable nature seems designed to pique our curiosity, yet it's our curiosity that must, in part, help weave coincidences together. Over the last few years, coincidences played out for me all the time. For most of the last few months, though, none came to me, or I didn't notice any. About 3 weeks ago, I wondered where the coincidences had gone. It was this wondering that called them back to my awareness. I was paying attention again. If it's been a while since you noticed a coincidence, you can attract one to you simply by wondering if one will make an appearance. Ask yourself for a symbol that could play out in your future reality. Any symbol will do. Simply close your eyes and accept the very first thing that pops to mind. Accepting the very first thing that comes to mind is difficult to do for a lot of people. Often we dismiss the first thing that pops to mind as weird or irrelevant, but psychic insights are quick. Recently, for me, it was frogs that popped to my mind. Leaping, croaking frogs. It sounds silly to think frogs would have any real significance in my world, that they might indicate some direction, suggest an idea, lead me someplace. Then again, why second guess a harmless psychic vision? I performed an automatic writing exercise, imagining frogs doing different things in my mind. I believe the intelligence that arranges coincidences loves to play, so I wrote a page about frogs in my psychic journal. Psychic experiences can arise out of this exercise. I recommend you write about whatever psychic symbol comes to mind. I wrote, leaping frog, peeping up in the water, plucking at the banjo, burping in the bog, singing me to sleep all night through the summer. Tadpoles swimming in a bowl. I watched you, change, change, change. Aquarium, terrarium. Boy, I wonder. When I was a boy, I took you back to the swamp behind our yard. You are home where you belong. Insights into the meaning behind coincidence can be found in the symbolism of their elements. Writing about the frog, which I thought of as my psychic symbol, helped me see how it might perform in action. I'd be looking for any frogs that appear in my future reality, too. By coincidence, match these visions. True, my depictions were typical. Frogs as they might ordinarily be seen, leaping, singing in a swamp, etc. But this helps to remind me of the energy behind the archetype. If my totem frog was communicating a psychic message to me, that message could be about transformation, singing, making a leap, going home, or living in two locations. Perhaps I'm undergoing my own metamorphosis. Like the frog, I live in two worlds, one imaginary, one real. When I perform as an actor on stage, I live in an imaginary world. The same is true for another role I play in life, the role of a psychic. When psychics see visions for people, those visions appear in their imaginations. To develop your psychic ability, you have to believe in your imagination. Frog's first appearance came to me at the Museum of Natural History, just down the street from my apartment. A huge new banner announced the museum's new exhibit, 200 live frogs. In ancient cultures, frogs were thought to be totems of rain delivery. Auspiciously, it was raining. My umbrella caused me some trouble after I entered the subway station. I had to jiggle its spring mechanism a bit to get it to close. Once securely fastened, I thought for a moment of what a great and valuable invention the spring is. How wonderful it is that to open an umbrella, you simply push a button and poof, it's open. I have this childlike amazement of simple things like this. A sense of wonder and naivete is essential to developing your psychic ability. If you want to attract coincidences, renew your sense of appreciation for life's simple miracles. My mind went to various applications for the brilliant little spring. Watches, pogo sticks, mattresses. When I'm on the subway train, my mind goes off into the silliest places. Chapter 1. Psychic Healings. Psychic healings could be possible, maybe, but we need to be cautious about con artists and crooks who make use of people's gullibility. The gift of healing the sick. As you ascend in your spiritual progress, you may notice that you have the ability to heal others. My wife's father was very ill from an accident and slipped into a coma. Doctors at the hospital in Burbank, California, indicated he had lost brain mass and would not be the same in terms of cognitive abilities. He would, in fact, they said, be more akin to a vegetable if he lived. They believed his death was imminent. I immediately thought about a Bible scripture, Ecclesiastes 2:12-14. I saw that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. Light is in the universe and individualized in your own spirit. I called on the light of the healing angel, Raphael, to surround and protect Mr. Morris. I saw these incredible circles of light in my mind's eye. I felt he was perfect, just as God made him. The light penetrated my very being, and I knew he was healed. Period. I appealed to the doctor who created all doctors. Our bodies are miraculous works of art. They are constantly being pulled back to the original and perfect blueprint of its spiritual DNA. I believe that the greatest surgeon on earth can perform a healing act on the body, but it is ultimately the highest doctor of the universe who sends the energy to cause the actual healing. The doctors at the hospital called our house very excited, looking for my wife, Cynthia, saying they had witnessed a miracle. Push your mind to the edge and think outside the box. Those invisible photons of light, which travel at 186,000 miles per second, entered that hospital room, touched my father-in-law's body, and in that light, the dying man was healed. God reveals things to us in many ways, including dreams, visions, thoughts, ideas, or images popping into our heads, a knowing felt in our spirit or body, and so on. In the Bible, Paul said, "Yet when I am among mature Christians, I do speak with words of great wisdom, but not the kind that comes from here on earth, and not the kind that appeals to great men of this world who are doomed to fall." 1 Corinthians 2:6. Even though the message may be from God, it comes through the filters of the psychic's human mind and personality and is open for interpretation. Any message you receive from a prophet or psychic should be considered in such light. I've had many a message that I had to sit with for a while. After considering its validity, I may put it in the back of my mind for later. Some messages that didn't seem relevant at the time have come to have an appreciative meaning later on. Telepathy. Telepathy allows for mind-to-mind or spirit-to-spirit communication without the use of verbal or physical signs, language, or symbols. Telepathy between people and animals is a proven fact. A mother knows instinctively when her children are in danger, and we all tap in to this type of energy. But what is it? Telepathy is communication from mind to mind or soul to soul without any visible means of physical contact. Contact on a higher plane, however, is very real. When you pray, you contact your higher self, or the part that God placed in you. The Bible calls the inner God self the I am. The energy of God is very personal. It cannot be created or destroyed. It just is. When we lose our sense of fear and yield to the inner God urge to form us to our full potential, it is the most liberating sensation on the planet. This God consciousness is living as you in this incarnation. Everything you think will cause the mind of God in you to respond accordingly. The skeptics. What human nature does not understand, it seeks to resist or destroy. Who are we to judge the fresh, new messages coming from the heart of God to His children who have open minds and are willing to hear that voice today? What would we do with a modern Noah who purportedly heard the voice of God? What would we do with a Moses who parted oceans with a walking stick? Jesus used intuition and not mere hunches. He embodied His higher spiritual self, directed by the Christ mind. In other words, He was living in an ascended state while in a human body. He knew when healing had occurred because He felt virtue leave His body. He materialized coins, walked through a wall, called the dead back to life, levitated before eyewitnesses, and defied the laws of gravity with His body by walking on water. The vibratory frequency of His body was much higher than the typical human living in third-dimension reality. There were also many prophets, saints, and holy men thousands of years before Jesus who demonstrated similar powers of mind and spirit. Why, then, condemn the psychics and mystics of our modern day? Any gift or action that brings health, love, healing, soundness of mind, joy, peace, gentleness, goodness, faith, honesty, or any other virtue is of God, no matter what label the doer may wear or what spiritual camp they hang out with. Your bioenergy is always present in your physical body, as is your spirit. It is your magnetism or body electricity that enables the communication between the brain and the other parts of the body. Psychic energy connects you with your own body, other people and their spirits, as well as the universe or God. When your spiritual energy is depleted, it negatively influences your physical body and its strength, making it more susceptible to disease and other ailments. If your body needs nutrients for normal functioning, think how much more your spirit needs the nurturing of prayer, reflection, meditation, and ritual to keep it alive. Mystical experiences. The transcendent experience has been scientifically recorded for years and is still practiced by humans today. We have many names for these spiritually transforming experiences. It is up to the individual as how to respond to them. We may be confined to the limitation of the physical body, but our powers of mind are not. Attitude, faith, and belief make all the difference in how we respond to a situation. A person may be jailed for a crime. He or she has a choice of response. They can allow their heart to harden, or they may use their mind and time to write a bestseller. When you are led by your heart and not your condition, anything is possible. I encourage you to accept the mystical experiences that come to you. They are to teach, enlighten, and awaken you. I am an intuitive, or prophet, or mystic. Choose whatever title you want. But I am spirit, having a human experience just as you are. Many times my clients look up to me as someone with incredible magical powers. The only magic I possess is my faith in God as my ultimate reality and power. The mystical experience comes along when you place your trust without any questions or without vacillating in that power. Each one of us has the responsibility to go inside our own temple for meditation. We can go into the silence of that place and communicate with God. That place is where you behold the reality and mystery of God and find your spiritual truth. Your religion has nothing to do with your truth or the reason that you were born. Chapter 7. Mediums. When someone we loved has passed away, we might find comfort in being able to contact the person through psychic means to give or receive final messages from the other side. This is what a medium is supposed to specialize in. A psychic medium should be someone who can connect with those who have passed on and share the thoughts of the spirit with the person or people left behind in the world as we know it. But most times, this is all fake. There really are people who can communicate with those who are no longer with us, but there are also some real scam artists out there who will take advantage of the grieving people looking for one last moment with their loved ones. This is why you need to be cautious and not perform such practices. I completely understand. You want the comfort of knowing that your loved one in the afterlife is all right. Let me assure you, they are. The spirit world is something you should not try to mess with too much. There have been numerous occasions of people fiddling around with Ouija boards or similar demonic tools who have found themselves talking to deceiving devils who pretend they are someone else. Stay away from this at all times. So what do you do then? Well, there are sacred places for meditation, for quietness, for comfort. There are religious places such as Mormon temples, mountaintops, or perhaps a small room in the corner of your home. These places can function as a way to become more spiritually in tune with the divine sources around us and receive inspiration from our Creator in the great universe. Many people have reported the vision of a loved one in the afterlife or in a dream, or just a reassuring, peaceful feeling that they were still there. As most people do, I too believe that those from the other side of the veil of obscurity can come to visit us and comfort us. But beware of so-called mediums who ask for your money or call on dark forces of which you do not know enough. You should also watch out for tea leaf readers or any medium who tells you that you must give the medium money on behalf of the person who has passed on that you are trying to contact. There are charlatans who have no sense of remorse about fooling you into thinking that the dead need our money to go to strangers staring at tea leaves. Walk away as soon as the medium tells you to fork over cash on behalf of your loved one. This is an age-old scam. As this talk about con artists might seem discouraging, But like I said, as you live your life in righteousness according to your conscience, and you are willing to humbly make the necessary changes, inspiration will come, be it through the Holy Spirit Christians always talk about, or simply through the silence of nature. Chapter 6. Psychic Abilities in Parapsychology. Psychic abilities such as post-cognition, psychometry, telepathy, and physical mental mediumship are all branches of a broader subject known as parapsychology. People with psychic abilities are claimed to affect or retrieve information through a channel that does not belong within the scope of conventional or mainstream science. The credibility of such claims has been vehemently questioned by many due to lack of evidence, but its existence, however absurd it may seem, cannot be simply discarded because of the deep roots parapsychology has in history and culture. Anomalous cognition. These are the two types of psychic abilities or parapsychology: anomalous cognition and anomalous operation. Anomalous cognition may also be known as extrasensory perception, ESP, and includes telepathy, is the ability to communicate information mentally from one person to another without using any physical signs and/or other aids. Precognition is the ability to perceive information and predict future events before they actually happen. This information is achieved by a special mental ability and not deductive reasoning. Postcognition or retrocognition is the ability to achieve information about events that have already occurred, which are usually unknown by others. For example, psychic detectives claim to use this method to detect possible murderers. Psychometry is another form of postcognition which enables a person to achieve information about events that had already occurred by being in close contact with the area or object where the event took place. Clairvoyance is the ability to perceive distant objects, persons, or events. Sometimes clairvoyants may claim to have the ability to see through opaque structures like brick walls and perceive unseen energy, such as radio waves. Subtypes include clairaudience, clairalience, clairgustance, and clairsentience. Chapter 3. Numerology readings aren't always accurate. I've done hundreds of numerology readings over the years, and almost all of them have errors and contradictions in one form or another. The question is, why is this so? And how can you determine what's true and what's false in your readings? The answer lies in the method used to create both numerology and astrology readings, something I call slotting. People are more complex than 9 categories. In numerology, most values in your chart are reduced to a single whole digit number, 1 through 9, and then referred to a table of traits, attributes that correspond to that number. But 9 categories is simply not diverse enough to cover all the ground of human possibilities. This is particularly true of the primary values in a chart. Your life path, birthday, and goal numbers. To compensate for this, numerology charts will list several traits for each category, which are tendencies of people with that value. Most of these traits will be true for you, but some will not. Note that this is also a problem in astrology where we're dealing with 12 sun signs or moon signs. 12 slots presents us with the same problem as 9 do. People don't always fit perfectly into one category, and some of the exceptions to the classic traits can make a reading seem completely wrong for that person. The best example I can think of for this in numerology readings is the tendency for life path 7 loners to have a strong spiritual potential and be drawn to the occult. This tendency, though usually very strong in these people, can be completely absent, making them question their entire reading. Filtering out the truth. What is needed is some interpretation, reading your chart and discerning what's true and what's false. The best method I've found for doing this is to use a form of map dowsing. Sit down with a printed copy of your numerology reading, a couple of highlighter pens in different colors, and a small pendulum. Go over your report, marking those things you know to be true in one color and those you know to be false in another. When you come across a trait that you're not certain about, use your pendulum in your primary hand while pointing to the trait on the page with your other hand and ask your subconscious to show you if the trait is true for you or not. Secret knowledge revealed. The most interesting parts of any numerology reading are those areas where your conscious mind does not immediately know if a trait is true or not. This is where we can learn and grow as a person. Here is where our hidden strengths and weaknesses are revealed to us. And though someone else can take your report and use a pendulum to check out unusual details, no one can do as good a job as you can. This has been Psychic Development, Psychometry, Numerology, and Psychic Dreams Clarified, written by Stephanie White. Copyright 2018 by Stephanie White. Production copyright 2018 by Stephanie White.